Oh, yes, it's the task force, Rieger and Leach, and we've got a legendary figure. We'll tell the whole story about how we met. The phenomenal, the incredible Lawton Luntz joins us. And, of course, we're listening to the MacGyver theme. Doesn't get much better. But good to see all you gentlemen. Of course, I'm Dan Leach, Dave Rieger. Follow him on Twitter, Kingpin80 million. Lawton Luntz on Twitter, DanLeach971. But it's the Task Force episode 3. And well, everyone knows what Dave Rieger is. He's super famous. But Lawton, let's talk about you and I. We go way, way back to like Champs Americana when I was working at J. Alexander's. And we've called football games on TV together, basketball games. You've worked at University of Detroit Mercy like I have. You've DJ'd. We've done basketball, football. It's an honor to have you as the special guest of episode 3 of the Task Force. So, and Dave, it's not a show without Dave Rieger. How you feeling on this quarantine Sunday? Yeah, so let everyone know. I mean, and obviously I mentioned last time there were some tech glitches and we're fixing everything and getting it all done. But, and Dave, for some reason, his Skype keeps getting smaller and then bigger. But everything else looks great. So we've got a lot to cover. And we're supposed to be in the middle of March Madness. We know it's March Sadness. We're going to have some fun with that in just a minute. We're going to talk about TV shows and movies we're all watching to get us through. I post one every day, and I'll let everyone know what those have been. We've got a special. I always do this on my 97.1 radio shows. 97.1 The Ticket. A Dan Leach One-On-One. Dave Rieger's prepared 5 pressing topics and questions. I have no idea what they are. I've got some music for it. We'll involve Lawton on that as well. And then, of course, we got to make fun of Lawton in the Tua sweepstakes. Dave's a Broncos DB. Lawton's a Dolphins fan. So it's going to be fun with that. And we have another special feature, our random, exciting house item of the day. We'll do that when we finish up. And we got a chat going on right now. Thomas, you guess who's in the room, Lawton? T-Phil's in the room. So we got people that are chatting. If you want to ask questions, fantastic. But let's just kind of go around the horn here. We're living in a history book. We're living in surreal times. Dave, I know that you got an older parent. Lawton, we'll get to you, and you saw your mom yesterday in Grand Rapids. I've got 2 parents over 70. These are incredible times, to say the least. Dave, how's the last few days since we were on air together been for you? Yeah. No, it's crazy. And Lawton, we were just able to have a special social distancing dinner. He cooked ribs, asparagus, potatoes, a little Skeezer salad. It's an honor to be in your life, and to have you on with us tonight. You've got a bunch of kids, like 15 kids, but you've got 2 that live with you and a wonderful wife named Ashley. What's this time period been like for you? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think T-Phil, the first thing he said was Swizzle Stick, saying they can't hear you guys. I'm still learning. You know what? Let me try this here. Maybe this will work. I don't know why, but here we go. All right, hopefully this works. Lawton, it's got to be, your mom yesterday in Grand Rapids. I know she's, in that age range where it's dangerous. It's got to be kind of a scary thing like it is for all of us.
It is. It is. I was actually house and drive 2 hours to get out of the house and drive. Spent a few hours with her. Made sure spent a few hours with her. Made sure no illnesses with her. My stepdad. No illnesses with her. My stepdad. So that's good. And she's doing okay. And she's taking her vitamins. Doing okay. Taking her vitamins. Just kind of staying at home for the most part. So at home. Thanks for asking.
So all right, your audio is good. Listen, I have this brand new OBS software. I'm still learning it. Thank God, I had some help with my friend Joe, but it looks like all the mics are fine now, so we're good. If Thomas Phillips was that, he wasn't listening to you, so he needed you. Dave, you and I, talk a lot, and it's one of these things where, like I mentioned, it's surreal. We're living in a history book. I just think that, especially people like us, and Lawton, you've been in broadcasting before with Dave, you and I are in it now, and I want to say one thing. We got JFK, by the way, one of the great producers at 97.1 that's involved right now in the chat room. People have been asking about me and if why I be on air soon and they miss hearing me, and I really appreciate that because it's one of those things where we have obviously pared down hours, being very safe at our Entercom Detroit compound. I know I'll be on at some point soon, but right now there's people are doing shows from home. It's we got to be safe. And Dave, being in the business, you mentioned you work at WJR. You've been downtown a lot. What's the kind of last 10 or so days been like for you? Working in this industry, but also, having a lot of people at home right now.
It's a lot of, use it. They're a little bit harder. Not doing it this time. No sports. Obviously, WGR carries Michigan State. Would they still be in the tournament at this point? I don't know. We would have been two rounds today. And also Detroit Lions. So it's a little different. But we're considered essential employees for the radio station. The sales staff is all working from home. RoboCop, it's just weird, especially we broadcast out of the Fisher Building. It's just like I said last episode. It's kind of weird walking down the halls. It's kind of like being in the Shining. It's like walking in that hallway. When I go to the eighth floor of the Fisher Building and walking the radio station. So like I said last time, if two little girls or a little boy riding a big wheel, look out. You may not hear from me again.
I love it. Well, one of these things that I think everyone, people are saying it's echoing. Hey, I thought we were good. I don't know what's going on here. I apologize. The software is great, but I'm still learning how to use it. So you guys should be on. Let's maybe I'll just undo one of your mics at a time. Speaking of the tournament, and we'll start with the big Michigan State guy on the bottom right here. Lawton, this is Joe Lenardi's final bracket. On his final bracket, he had Michigan State as a 3 seed playing Bradley in Cleveland. What do you think happens? Michigan State, Bradley, the winner of that game, Virginia, Cincy. It'd be going on literally right now as we speak.
Well, of course, I'm going to choose MSU against Bradley. As far as Virginia, and I'm sorry, what was the other one?
Virginia, Cincy. You guys play the winner of that game.
Yeah, I'd like Virginia in that game. So I got to pick between MSU and Virginia. I had been saying for a while that I felt like we were definitely a Sweet 16 team, but I wasn't sure beyond that. So I'm gonna continue with that message and say that we would end up in the Sweet 16.
I think when it comes to that game, I think Michigan. I know that the ESPN did their little simulation, and they had Michigan and Michigan State both losing in the first round. I think Michigan State beats Bradley. I think Virginia beats Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I think Creighton wins both their games below Michigan State, and I think Creighton upsets Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State had a chance to win the whole thing, but I just feel like it's a weird year. There's not a lot of trust in winning big tournament games lately, except for last year. Am I being unfair when I say that State probably doesn't get past the Sweet 16? They had a great chance, but Creighton's a really tricky team. That's who they would have played in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and I don't think it's unfair. We kind of were doomed from the start, being number one to start the year. That's almost a doomsday prediction for the tournament, especially for us historically. I feel like usually when we're the underdog, we perform quite a bit better. So, like I said, I think the Sweet 16 was certainly a possibility. Anything it would have certainly loved to seen Cassius Winston and the gang get to the Final Four again and have another shot at the national title. But hard to say. But I would say Sweet 16 isn't a crazy prediction. Then again, losing in the first round when you're ranked number 1 at the beginning of the season, that would be very MSU as well. So
yes,
hard
it
to
definitely
say.
would have been. Well, let's talk to the world's biggest Duke slap. Of course, this guy's a Broncos fan, a Duke fan, just ridiculous. Dave, let's talk about what Lunardi had you guys at. Duke came in this final bracket that was released by Lunardi. Obviously, we found out the tournament was getting canceled. Also as a 3 seed, opening up against Belmont. We know that Belmont, an upset type team. If they win that game, they play the winner of Iowa, East Tennessee State. How do you see the Dukies, Trey Jones, and a very up and down year where they have gotten through to the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I think that's in a pretty easy road. I think 2 big wins for Duke right there. I don't think they would have had any problem with either of those teams. I think they would have cruised into the Sweet 16 very easily.
All right, so we're going to, as we do these shows, we'll kind of go through based on, like, next week's the Sweet 16. We'll talk about it then. But I will say, let's say Duke did get through. I'm going to say that Duke wins. I think that Iowa wins with Luka Garza, national player of the year candidate, and obviously finishes an AP All-American on the last starting 5. I think you look at the lower part. Kentucky's the 2 seed. They would have beat North Dakota State. And then Providence plays Arizona State. I think Arizona State in an upset there. I think the Pac-12 is getting better towards the end of the year, but I think Kentucky wins that game. What about Kentucky-Duke, the 2 versus 3? How nervous would you have been? Because both those teams have looked great and also awful at times.
That would have been tough because Kentucky's looked really good lately. So I guess we would have to see how they were playing throughout the tournament, getting to that point. Obviously, a rematch of the famous Christian Laettner shot that was that 2001. Did he hit that shot at the end of the game? That was
the Laettner shot was 97. I think 96, 97. It wasn't in the 2000s,
something like that. It was. I think it was 96. I know, late 90s. I know, or early 2000s. Something, but obviously, who wouldn't want to see Krzyzewski and Calipari going at it in the tournament? I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah, listen, I can't believe the tournament's not going on. It's just incredible that it isn't. For as far as Michigan and Yale are concerned, that Michigan's a 5 seed out in Spokane, where obviously there's a lot of coronavirus right now. They would have played Yale. A lot of people love those 5-12 upsets. I think Michigan would have gotten it together, won that game. Oregon, who they lost to in Chrysler earlier in the year, the 4 seed, New Mexico State. I think it'd be Michigan-Oregon. Total toss-up. I think I'd have to go. I think I trust Oregon more right now, but Michigan's definitely capable of winning that game. If they got through, they would very likely play Gonzaga. Gonzaga, the 1 seed, playing one of the 16 seeds, Prairie View, A&M or North Central or Carolina Central, and then LSU, Oklahoma. I think it would be, even if they got through. But it's funny, Michigan would have played, if they win their first game, and Oregon did, a team they played earlier in the year and lost to at home, and a team they beat in the Bahamas, in Atlantis, in Gonzaga. That's a crazy scenario. Would have loved to have seen that. But the fact that we don't have the NCAA tournament going on right now is very, very disheartening. And Lawton, I know you love college hoops as much as we do. Pretty nuts that there's no tournament going on right now. March Sadness.
March Sadness, indeed. And actually, guys, we're old, man. That Laettner shot was 92.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't 2001.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
92. Man.
92.
That was year after I graduated high school.
That's crazy. Crazy sauce, my friends. T. Phillips saying last time that Duke and Kentucky played, that Duke handed Kentucky their ass. Well, I do remember that 118 to, what was it, 94, I think? It'll get 118 to 84, so that's pretty bad. But listen, it'll make the tournament. And as we've, I know Dave and I've talked about this a lot, I'm sure you know about this. The NCAA was ready to do a 16-team tournament. And as soon as the Gobert night, the night that sports died in America and the world and went on pause, the night that happened, they said that's it. I mean, they tried to do the best they could. They're going to lose $1 billion, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you've got to shut it down and be safe for everyone in this country? And I was at that Rudy Gobert game. One, you're a season ticket holder. So imagine if you were in that game. It was obviously I'm safe. It's been 14 days. I've self-quarantined, so I'm good. But that was a crazy day. That I think Gobert single-handedly, in many ways, while he was super cavalier and stupid about touching all the reporters' mics, not taking it seriously, he made it real for millions of people, and in essence, probably saved a lot of lives. I know he's apologized. He donated $500,000 to help the people in his area in Utah, but that was a crazy day, Lon. Can you imagine if you were at that game?
Unreal. I remember, look at the juxtapositioning of that whole press conference of him kind of taking it very lightly and then finding out later that he had corona. That's you can't even write that. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think we'll never forget what that was like when it happened. By the way, we're going to have the DTM One-On-One starring Dave Rieger in a minute here, but we're all at home. We're all being with our families and friends. And Dave, I know your brother Jeff's, making videos with baby Olive and, watching TV shows. Isn't she calling him Mr. Jeffy because he's also teaching her and doing some preschool stuff? But a lot of us are home right now, Dave.
Yeah, he is. She is calling him. I think it's Mr. Jeffys or Mr. Jeffers or something. He is. The scary thought is that my brother is now teaching Olive via homeschooling. I think that Allison should really be doing that instead of Jeff. Not a good start for young Olive in her academic career with Jeff teaching her curriculum.
Right. Well, we're going to do this every show. We're going to do the Task Force Top 3. And I've been tweeting and Facebooking every day of shows and movies to watch. Let's start with the legendary Lawton Lutz. You've got kids. You've got a great wife. We were talking about a bunch of the TV shows and movies to watch earlier today when we were watching WrestleMania 30, which was awesome that ESPN was doing that. Give me your top 3 TV shows and or movies to watch right now. I know it's a tough thing to, we have a million that we can come from, but give me what will your top 3 be right now?
Top 3 TV shows got to, 1A, 1B is A Million Little Things, and This Is Us. So, that's something we, as a family, right at. So if you think of this day and age where we DVR everything, it's rare that you get in front of the TV at the time the show starts. So we make it a point to do that. And then I guess the third place one for me would be the Connors. I still watch. I still find the writing to be really excellent. It's a hilarious show, and I feel like there's a big machine behind that show. There's a lot of good guest appearances. Definitely a lot of money thrown at the production and the actors that are in it.
All right.
So
those that'd
be my
really
top
good.
3.
Before we get to Dave, I got a question for Dave from Thomas Phillips and a question first for Lawton. What do you do with the seniors in the NCAA basketball tournament? Do you let them come back and play the next tourney? Do you honor them in some sort of way? I'll answer that first. And I know they talked about this. There was supposed to be a waiver. I think it's ridiculous. The tough thing about this is when it comes to sports and the NCAA, thank God they're finally not being, the organization that cares just about money and is doing the right thing. If you let them come back, it's going to take away from scholarships. When you have to add all this money, it would create a total disaster, even if they're grad students. So I think they've got to find a way to do something, but that's the problem with it. They thought about doing the waiver. It sucks. They're, guys like Obi Toppin and so many others. What if Azubuike from Kansas, these guys had a chance to win titles and go far. It sucks for them, but I think that there's no way you could have done that without creating a quagmire. Hopefully they figure something else out. But would you have wanted them to give a waiver, Lawton?
I think so. I think the option to do it would be the only way to really meet in the middle. So, for example, we'll use MSU. For me, Cassius Winston really wanted to come back and play another year, then you could put the ball in his court and say, if you want to continue, you can. Then again, he has to kind of weigh that out, joining the NBA draft versus that. So I think as long as the NCAA were to put their best foot forward and give him the option, I think that would be probably the best fair
way
tough.
To do it's tough either way you look at it. Dave, I got a question for you from Thomas Phillips that I want you to give me your top 3 movies and TV shows right now. It's not top 3 of all time. It's just right now because there's a million to do. By the way, Emily, our friend Emily's not my sister. This is Stocker McDougal. It's in the business right now. She actually does stuff with Big Ten Network and the NCAA, and I guess they're talking about maybe not being able to pay them. Hopefully they can. But she says she thinks the NCAA should pay its employees. Yeah, we get that. They have a lot of money. But Dave, the question from T-Phil to you is, knowing you're the Broncos slap, what do you make of the Melvin Flash Gordon pickup? I know when they announced it, did they make some video with the Flash Gordon stuff from back in the 80s?
They did. They took that old movie from back in the day, and they put the little the trailer or some scenes from it, the Flash Gordon, on the Broncos Twitter.
Crazy.
I was a little surprised at the Melvin Gordon pickup, but then when I saw the deal that they got him for a steal. So yeah, I think he's going to pair very well with Philip Lindsay. I just wonder what's going to happen with their other backs. They've got a full stable of running backs on the Denver Broncos right now, and so we'll see what happens. But you know what? I think it's a great addition. Maybe it was a trade for trade. Chargers get Chris Harris, and we take Melvin Gordon. So who knows? Maybe that played a little bit into it. But I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with the Broncos so far in their free agent signings. I think our bet that we usually make, Dan. I think it's going to kind of lean toward me pretty heavily this.
Hey, listen,
this
I want to believe in Danny Shelton. I want to believe in in getting what the Lions have done, Jamie Collins, and all the different pieces they're trying to put together. But I don't feel great about it. And then Darius Slay goes on your station, Dave, the Lions flagship, trashes Matt Patricia, says that he didn't like one when he early on, I guess, was they were at a practice or over the summer, and he said don't train with certain guys. I think wasn't one of them like Ty Matthew or Chris Harris or someone else because you're not elite. And he said from then I didn't even like the guy. I don't know what to make of it.
It was Richard Sherman and Akeem.
That's right. So he's trading with some of the better corners, and Matty P's like, don't do it. You're not elite. The whole thing's a mess. I don't know if I want to trust. Go ahead.
What do you think about Slade saying he's going to wear 24 to honor Kobe?
I think that's really cool. But it's a mess, man. It's a total mess. I'm the biggest Lions fan. I'm a homer, a face fan, or whatever. And
You're a slap.
So are you. Lawrence and Dolphins stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. But Dave, give your the Lions. Their win total is like 5.5, 6 right now. If they don't win 9 or 10 games, it's crazy. What are your top 3 movies, TV shows right now for people to watch when they're at home?
My 3 TV shows right now, obviously Walking Dead is still going on, which is some people might think it's jumped the shark. I still enjoy it. The Blacklist, which was just signed on for another season. So I love that show. And Better Call Saul, which is just came back, and they're like on their 4th episode. And he's got to be meeting up with Walter White any day now. I mean, it's coming to that point. So for all the Breaking Bad fans and the El Camino fans for the prequel movie, Saul Goodstein is going to, or Saul Goodman, I'm sorry, is going to meet Walter White. I mean, that point is coming. That is a great show. Better Call Saul.
Great shows. By the way, if people want to put their shows on our chat right now, Jason's in there talking about $300 and then I have a nice hotel room. Taylor Phillips is saying, is Taylor Phillips Lawton related to Tom Phillips? Is that his kissing cousin? Who's Taylor Phillips?
Yeah, it's all possible. You just never
he says
know.
The Lions,
you never know.
Lions are going to go 5-11. Aubrey Beavers, Dolphins legend. For me, if you're not watching, Brock Meyer just premiered the final season 4, and it actually had a lot of forethought about what's going on now. Like, it was filmed months ago, but it's 10 years in the future. He's becoming the commissioner of baseball. There's this big virus. Baseball is dying. It's incredible. But Hank Azaria is incredible. It's a baseball comedy. It's on IFC. It just premiered. That's phenomenal. I put this up the other day. The incredible movie Smokin' Aces with everybody. I mean, Jeremy Piven, Alicia Keys. Edgerton's in it. It's just, there's so many great. Alec Baldwin. Not Alec Baldwin. Eddie Garcia. Ryan Reynolds. Great movie. And then I think that if you have not watched this series yet, you got to watch The Outsider on HBO. It's over now. It just ended last week. But it's an incredible series with Ben Mendelsohn. And it's based on the Stephen King book. It's got Cynthia Erivo, who just won that Oscar for Harriet. And was nominated for a Golden Globe, I believe, as well. Awesome show. You got to watch that, too. By the way, Taylor Phillips, Tom Phillips are not related. All right, Dave, are you ready for – we've never done this on a live stream show. And I'll involve you the best I can in this. I want you to be left out. But are you ready for the first live stream edition of Dan Leach One-on-One?
I am ready. I hope I can do as good as a job as Tim Jetski does. Shout out to Tim, who usually does the one-on-ones with you on 97.1.
He is the best. All right, let's do it. These are 5 pressing questions. I have no idea what they are. Give me my honest and instant answer. And if you want to answer the question or give us your own, get it on the chat. T. Phil says, by the way, his top 3 shows, Sports Center with SVP, This Is Us, which I know Lawton loves, and Stranger Things. All right, Dave, question number 1.
Question number 1, with WrestleMania being on television today, and I think the 2-night WrestleMania coming up very soon on television, what was your WrestleMania moment?
Oh, there's no. Okay, it's a great question, and me and Lawton were just talking about this earlier. I am a huge, and I mean huge, wrestling guy that goes way, 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 way back to days of yesteryear. I still like it now, but as a kid, I had hundreds of hours of videotapes on wrestling, and I really got involved around WrestleMania 3 when Hogan body slammed the Giant at the Silverdome. It just doesn't get any bigger. Hogan was my hero, and I couldn't get enough of him. Also, that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat match as well with Randy Macho Man Savage lasted like 30 minutes. Incredible. But that WrestleMania moment with Hogan and the Giant, number 1. Lawton, I know you're a big wrestling guy. What is your biggest WrestleMania moment?
You stole my thunder, man. I would have said Hogan slamming the Giant. Anything really from WrestleMania 3. Brutus the Barber Beefcake shaving Adrian Adonis' head. I would ride with WrestleMania 3 all day long. There you
go. All right, let's get back to question. By the way, I apologize. The stream is going in and out. It might just be because, unfortunately, the internets are not great around places sometimes. So please bear with us. We'll get it fixed as we go. All right, question 2, Dave.
Question number 2, obviously, free agent signings are going on in the NFL right now. It's about the only sport that we have. Thank God, at least for that. So the question is, your favorite free agent signing of all time. It does not have to be a Detroit Lions free agent signing. Either your favorite or what you felt the most impactful free agent signing.
That's a great question. Wow. I'm gonna have to go Drew Brees to the New Orleans Saints. He won a Super Bowl. I mean, there's so many out there, but the first one I thought of was, the former Charger going to New Orleans. And by the way, can you guys not get enough of this NFL primetime music? You play it forever. I'm going to go Drew Brees. I mean, there's been many. And then a lot of the big ones were trades, too. As far as a free agent, I'm going to go with Drew Brees going to the Saints. Lawton, I'll get you in here on the biggest free agent signing in your football life. What do you think?
Well, that's tough. There hasn't really been too many impactful free agent signings for the Dolphins or the Lions in a long time. Could be anybody. I the Drew Brees. That's a great one. Man, that's a tough question.
All right,
come back to
that. All right, back to Dave Riga, the legendary Dave Riga. Question number 3. By the way, Thomas Phillips is crossing sports. He said Brandon Shanahan. That's a great one, but we're talking football here.
That was a good one, though. Yes, I agree. Question 3 for you, Dan, with a lot of, the big movie fan that you are, and a lot of movies pushing back their releases due to the coronavirus, with one of the bigger movies, the James Bond movie, getting pushed back. Your favorite Bond movie of all time?
Great question. Wow, that's so tough. I will tell you this. I think that the reboot Casino Royale was absolutely phenomenal. But I think that I go back to when I was, and I've seen every Bond movie, many of them 50 times. Roger Moore's my favorite guy, and I really super got into Bond going back to the 80s when it was his final movie, View to a Kill. I'm going to go View to a Kill because I just think of it with Christopher Walken. You had, even the tall African-American model, Iman. I just think that Silicon Valley was timely. So I'm going to go
wasn't it Grace Jones?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Grace Jones, not Iman. But she was in another. Yeah. She was. I think Iman was in a James Bond movie, another one. But yeah, you're right. It was Grace Jones. But I watched that movie so many different times.
Tiger Roberts, right?
Yep, it was just incredible. I'm going to go with that. But the Casino Royale Daniel Craig reboot was phenomenal. All right, Lon, we'll save question 4 for Lon. I just want to make sure he doesn't get left out. All right, question 4, Dave.
Question number 4. So I know how a lot of people are passing the time playing video games. I know that I'm doing a Madden season to try to pass the time. So this is kind of a two-part question. Dan, your favorite game system / favorite game.
All right, well, guess what? This is a show and tell type thing. Let me see if I can get this over here. All right, so you guys can't see this, but I've got the old Nintendo Entertainment System. They re-released it. 50 games on it, Zelda, Metroid, many other things. I was the first in my neighborhood to have it. It was a game changer for my life. And Zelda, Metroid, Super Mario Brothers. I mean, it goes on and on and on. That's by far the greatest game system of all time. Dave, do you agree?
I knew that you had that. You've been bragging about it. That was why I brought that question.
I had you up that whole time. Let me do it again. Sorry about that. I'm still learning how to do software. But here's the Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, but I think it's the greatest stuff. I mean, obviously, comparatively to what video games are like now, it's nothing. But it was incredible back then.
And your favorite game of all time?
Definitely Zelda. I mean, I started with Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
But listen, I loved Metroid.
Okay.
I loved Kid Icarus. But for me, I played Zelda in my basement on Claymore in Rolling Oaks and Farmington Hills. Probably, I would say in the first 2 months I had Zelda, 200 hours. I mean, every day I was down there. It was during the summer, every freaking day. Let me go to King Lutz here. Lon, I know you're a big video game guy. What do you think the greatest system is in your favorite game?
Nintendo all day long, and Tecmo Bowl was my favorite game of all time. Although I'll give an honorable mention to regular Punch-Out. We actually downloaded that recently because my kids got a Switch, and I've been fighting Piston Hurricane and Ball Bowl ever since. So they get the honorable mention. So Soda Popinski, that's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Because I love Mike Tyson's
Punch-Out. This one had Piston Hurricane. Right, we're talking. Yeah, Mike Tyson's was good too, but the original had Kid Quick. It had Ball Bowl, Piston Hurricane, Pizza Pasta.
Wait,
all kinds of great
I thought Mike Tyson's was first, and then the rights ran out. Then they did the other Punch-Out. I think yours was second, wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think Punch-Out was first. I used to play Punch-Out in the arcade.
I know that Tyson's deal ran out, and they had to replace it with Mr. Dream. That was the second. I think it was Punch-Out, 2 or something. But I know that they, it got the rights ran out of that. By the way, Thomas Phillips says, "Live and Let Die," which is another one of my top probably 4 with Roger Moore. He runs across alligators, he says. Also, he wants to bring back NCAA football, Sega CD, Night Trap, Echo the Dragon, and Super Nintendo Zelda, A Link to the Past, was best. All right, Dave, let's hit it out of the park, as we always do, with question number 5.
Question number 5, we have this discussion all the time. How could you be a Broncos fan? You've lived in Detroit your whole life.
Tell them what I say. Tell them what I say to you.
I've lived. You go ahead. You can say it. Go ahead.
You're a traitor, part of the Rebel Alliance. Take him away.
Of course, yes. But you always like to say, I've lived in 100 different places around the world, and I'm still a Lions fan. I'm still a Tigers fan. So, when you travel, when you travel, obviously not right now, what are the 3 items you have to take with you when you travel?
All right, we're not talking about like your phone, right?
No, we're talking about 3 items that you have to have with you when you travel.
All right. Well, I mean, how basic are we going to get here? So, okay, I've got to have.
These could be like creature comfort.
All right,
creature comfort.
I've got to have
items.
some type of a laptop or iPad for sure. I've got to have a way to listen to music. So whether that's an iPod or an old CD player back in the day or Walkman, so I've got to have that. And then I've got to have. Let's see. That's a good question. It's you get a lot of things on the road. I mean, obviously, we're not talking like toiletries and pillows and stuff like that. I'll probably go. Is that what you're saying, Dave?
I'm saying whatever you feel that you have to have because you are an extensive traveler.
Oh yeah.
You've lived in all these places, and you're still a Lions fan.
A Lions fan, and then I think that I also have to have like if I've got. Let's say I'm going somewhere, like I used to live in Costa Rica, or I've been abroad in Mexico and Israel and other places. If I'm going to somewhere where I don't know what the food's going to be like, I've got to bring like my favorite candy, which is, of course, Nerds, Swedish Fish, and depending on the day, some kind of gummy worms or Sour Patch Kids. So there you go. What about you? What's your answer to that question?
Well, obviously, I've got to have my laptop with me or my mini iPad to be able to watch on the plane. Obviously, a comfortable pair of shoes.
Yes.
Obviously, for walking, and also a variety of baseball caps, since I like to wear a hat a lot.
All right, I like it. Lon, you definitely traveled your fair share. By the way, obviously a phone charger too. I think it goes without saying. What would your 3 items be?
Well, my 3 items are real simple. It's I always bring my shaver with me.
I don't need that anymore.
Always a laptop or iPad. Yep, I agree with Rieger. Got to have a laptop or something, especially if you want to watch something on the plane or in the hotel room. You want to get some work done. And then finally, I always bring swim trunks because I never know if I'm going to be in a warm weather climate or at a hotel with a pool. And what's worse than having a pool and not having swim trunks?
I love it. Smart sticks are. Dave, great answers. Job. The first ever live stream edition with the NFL music of Dan Leach, One-on-One, starring Dave Rieger. All right, well, speaking of the NFL in prime time, I want to go to our man, the Lundsters here. Me and Dave kind of gave each other a lot of crap about the Lions and the Broncos in the last episode of the Task Force. But you're a Dolphin. You're from Grand Rapids, Lakers fan. You do love the Detroit teams too, but also a Dolphins fan going back to the beginning. First off, please explain that to people, why you are a Lakers fan and a Dolphins fan. And then I got a big Tua question for you.
Sure. So actually before Grand Rapids, until I was 10 years old, I grew up in Las Vegas. So this is not going to make any sense for the Dolphins, but they were on TV all the time. And about when I was 8 years old, fell in love with football and Dan Marino. We also got to see a lot of John Elway out there and Joe Montana. So those have always been 3 of my most coveted quarterbacks of all time. So I remember when, it's just ironic being that I ended up at Michigan State, and Magic was kind of that guy that was always my hero growing up, and went to MSU, played for the Lakers and whatnot, and has transcended many things after that. So that's kind of my explanation, and I'm loyal, so I've stayed true to my teams my whole life. So that's my story.
T. Phil wants me to say Aubrey Beavers, Dolphins legend. Lawton knows. What the hell's that all about?
Yes. Okay, so I'll tell you the story. So T. Phil, I know personally, I believe he had that jersey in high school, and his friend had Brian Cox, and they wore him to school on the same day. And he can confirm the story. I believe they got suspended for wearing the Cox and Beavers jerseys together. People got offended in school. Nowadays, you'd be suspended for 2 months or something like that. Back then, I think I'm almost positive. If he tweets it out, pretty sure that's at least pretty close to the story that he told me.
Yep, he said 100% true. So you're in. Dave, let everyone know. We haven't talked about this yet.
I got a good memory.
Dave, tell everyone why you're a stupid Broncos fan, and then we got to get to Lawton on his Tua sweepstakes. By the way, very good job on the DTM Leach One-On-One. That was excellent.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I've been a Broncos fan since I've been about 10 years old, and that was in the early 80s, the beginning of the Elway era. But probably the big thing that happened was during religious school one Sunday, and our dad came and took us out of school early to a Lions preseason game. Now, we were just little kids. We did not know that this was a game that meant nothing. And the Lions lost on a Gary Danielson incomplete pass to like Jeff Chadwick or something like that. And I was crushed. And that was the beginning, which then just kind of escalated with the Eddie Murray missed field goal against the Niners. And then I've had the opportunity in my career in the media to cover the team. And it's just and then the Broncos, I've gotten so much crap for it that it's just become kind of a badge of honor. It's kind of like, well, you're gonna give me so much crap about it when they win. It makes the people so mad that it's kind of like I go over the top now and become obnoxious with it. And it's
we have so
great.
People only knew, and Juan, you know this too, because me and you never get in fights over the Dolphins because you're actually a fair maiden compared to Dave. But Dave, people knew the nonsense that Dave Rieger and I, whether it's trolling each other on the phone, in person, on the golf course, with Jeff, his brother, without Jeff, his brother, on Twitter, on Facebook, with his mom, without his mom, it is out of control. And Dave knows, because I'm very like passionate and positive, but I'm very sensitive. So Dave knows how to push my buttons, Juan, and it drives me absolutely crazy. Dave, sometimes I get worried that you do it on purpose anyway, but that you also it's going to wreck my day. It's not very nice being a great friend.
It's interesting, and I have to tell Lawton, I've been to Oakland, where the Raiders used to play 4 times. I cannot wait to go to Vegas and see Broncos Raiders in that environment in Las Vegas. I think that's going to be just awesome.
No, it will. Lawton,
I cannot wait.
Your brother has lived in Vegas for a while. We got to go on a Vegas trip eventually. What do you think about Broncos Raiders in Vegas? And then I gotta ask you about the Tua sweepstakes too.
Yeah, the Broncos Raiders in Vegas is going to be epic. I don't think that the Raiders fan base in Vegas is going to have the same sizzle as it did in Oakland, but I'm sure it will still. Raiders fans travel well, so that'll be pretty good. And my brother, who's lived out there now, he was only one of us to move back. He's been out there about 10 years. He said that stadium's almost done. It looks pretty epic right off of the 215 there. So I'm excited to really attend any game out there. Just figure it out,
We'll get it done then.
You won't have to twist my arm to go to Vegas.
Now let's talk about this, and we'll get Dave's thoughts on this as well. Lions are currently picking third. The Dolphins are sitting there, 5-18-26? I've said this for a long time. I think the Lions' best solution or scenario is to create a bidding war between, obviously, whether it's the Dolphins or the Raiders or whoever else wants to jump up. Dave, I will get to your thoughts on this in a second on the Broncos, because that's a possibility. How bad do you want Tua? How upset would you be if Tua was taken by the Lions, which I don't think is going to happen? And what do you think trading up, if Tua is your guy, if you believe that he is going to be, obviously we don't know how healthy he's going to be down the road, but medically cleared, throwing, all that stuff. If the Dolphins, much like Andy Reid and the GM of the Chiefs, knew Mahomes was their guy, they knew they were going to take him no matter what and traded up for him a few years back. If he's your guy, what is it worth? Is it worth 5-18? Is it worth 3 first-round picks? What is it worth for you to get to him? Because if he stays healthy, Lawton, he could be a transcendent quarterback.
You could. I'm going to put my thinking cap on just real quick, just to make sure I give you an appropriate answer.
Dave can see this.
Because I don't want to mess this up. So I think let's take it from the Lions standpoint. Let's be honest. I mean, I think they have the easiest decision in the world. Either you take Tua or you trade the pick.
Yeah.
And I think the Dolphins is a very good choice. I think if you're the Dolphins, you can afford with the first round draft picks that they have to give up an additional one. So if that's their guy, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, if the Lions do what we as Lions and Detroiters hope they don't, if they just don't take Tua and they take some other character at number 3, then, I believe that it's very possible Tua will fall to 5. So, and worst case scenario, I mean, there's a lot of great quarterbacks that they could select from. So, I mean, after all, you have Ryan Fitzpatrick right now. So you would hope that anything could be better.
Fitzmagic, he's only good when he has to fill in. When he's got a starting job, he sucks, as we know. Dave, listen, you're an idiot when it comes to the Broncos, but I love you. But you're an outside perspective. What do you think? I mean, Lawton just obviously laid out his case. What he thinks is best, either from the Lions take Tua or obviously trade down. From your outside perspective, working for the Lions flagship, being here in Detroit, trolling me, all that stuff, how do you see the whole Tua thing? Are the Lions going to be stupid if they don't take him? Are they going to be stupid if they don't trade down? And I think there's other options there as well, that the Lions could actually not take Tua, not have him there, and still take an Okudah or a Simmons 3rd overall. That's my least of the 3 options, but that's definitely on the table as well. Or take a tight end.
Being that you have been mentoring me on poker for the past couple months, yes, Dan, I think the Lions showed their hand when they got Chase Daniel as their backup quarterback, which tells me they have no intention of drafting Tua. They're going to get Okudah, and I think he would be a phenomenal fit down in Miami if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's probably the best quarterback in the draft right now. I mean, the guy can make all the throws. He can run. If he's healthy, and that's a big if. If he's healthy, then he's going to get one work, and maybe it puts him back on the map.
Yeah, listen.
And with Tom Brady leaving New England, which also Lawton's got to be very happy about, that now the AFC East is wide open for everybody.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: as far as the Lions are concerned. I think you got to look at it like this. If you screw up this pick, I mean, obviously a lot of people want Bob Quinn and Patricia out anyway. And if they don't have a good season, they're going to be gone in the first place. But if you don't think Tua is your guy, as I was saying to Lon, and I've said to you many times, Dave, if you don't create that unbelievable bidding war for Tua Tagovailoa, and you get a 5-18 or a 5-26, or what is it, Raiders 12 and 9? What is that? I'm forgetting their second pick, 19. Or 18. If you don't do that, then you've completely blown it, because there's enough teams, Chargers, Dolphins, maybe Broncos, whoever, that want Tua, that you've got to get that done. And hopefully this draft does happen, you find a way to see the Lions get the most value they possibly can. And Lon, when I look at where your Dolphins are going to be going forward, I think if they get Tua, they into the next couple of years, and we'll see what Flores is, they could actually end up being a pretty decent team.
Yeah, it's floodgates are open now. Brady's gone. I don't know that. I saw the Pats sign Hoyer today. I don't know that that's enough to really get them across, to the playoffs. But I could see a scenario, and I don't know if the Lions will do this or if it's even way too smart for them. But I could see them drafting Tua and him being the 3rd quarterback. And if he's not fully healthy, you've got some time for him to recover. But in addition, I mean, it's obvious the Lions. I mean, if you're the Lions and Matt Stafford has a nice start off, is it a no-brainer to call the New England Patriots and see if they're willing to trade something for him? If you know that he's eventually got to move on and Tua is obviously the next guy.
I love it. I love the thought process. All right, well, before we wrap things up, and listen, it's great to have you on. I know that it's not, this. We never expected to basically have this country. I don't know if you guys have been looking at the pictures over the last several days. I mean, the world's on pause right now. And I think it's one of these things where, I think it was Michael Bloomberg I saw interviewed on one of the cable news channels a few days ago. He said the world we're leaving to go into self-quarantine and shut down and, just to be safe from each other, social distancing. The world we come back into is going to be completely different. The world we're leaving, it was very poetic the way he said this. And it really kind of hit me in the heart. It's like this world that we're kind of leaving now. The one we come back into is going to be a lot different. And you got kids, we all have parents that are elderly or getting older at least. This is a surreal time, man. A very surreal time that I continue to say the best way I can describe it is it's like we're living in a history book right now.
Yeah, I mentioned to my kids earlier this week, I said, you will always remember this your entire life. 50 years from now, these kids will be like, I remember when we didn't have any toilet or whatever, remember from it. I think it's very, all of us are living history right now, and it's different. That's for sure.
Dave, what are your thoughts on kind of this time that you and I have had a lot of talks on the phone and Skype and stuff about just how crazy this is, and my great hope, by the way, and please, there's something I want to get to in a second here about ways we can help right now, and we're always going to give people the options to do that and abilities to do that. My great hope, Dave, is that we come out of this and we're safer. We're washing our hands more. I mean, maybe it seems like a rudimentary thing, but that we are more cognizant of being healthy, being kind to each other. We're obviously in the most divisive political time maybe ever, definitely in my lifetime, that you don't have to like a candidate or a president or whoever, but you got to like the people that support them. Not everybody, but you got to like most of them, because otherwise we're all going to hate each other. This is a time where I think there could be a solid, like day after tomorrow movie reset where they are in the sky and the astronauts look down and they see how clean the environment is. Is that kind of where we're hopefully going to come back to? Just a safer, smarter world?
I think I mentioned this to you on the last episode. I think that the country itself and the world itself will be different, but I think people are going to be the same. I think as soon as we get the opportunity to go back to the way it was, we're going to go back to the way it was. A lot of people have short memories. It's just the way that humans are. And so while I think the world will be a little different, I think that a society is going to be the same, and I think we're going to go right back to what we were doing before.
Well, here's hoping and praying, and I say this with all,
And I don't think that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah, but let me just say this with all due respect and love to you. I hope you're wrong, because I know that there's certain people that will be that way, but I think that there's a lot of us that are taking this seriously, emotionally, calming ourselves, realizing how lucky we are to have people like you two in my life, family, friends, jobs, all that stuff. I think that the high majority, will kind of have this caterpillar to butterfly renewal. And that's going to hopefully get us to the next big crisis, and we'll react better and be more prepared and send each other more love and stuff. That's what we need right now. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm hoping you're wrong, Dave, but there's a good chance you're right. Let's all hope that he's wrong, because I want it to be a more, think about Star Trek. I'm a big Star Trek guy. And the whole premise of Star Trek is there was World War III. There was a ton of destruction. Billions died. And this is all Gene Roddenberry's kind of thought process when he was writing the different stories. And then the Vulcans came down and saw and made first contact. And the world united behind that. And money wasn't an issue, and food wasn't an issue. And everything came together. I'm not saying that this is World War III, but I just believe that we can come together and live in a better, brighter world on some level. And that's my trope. Lawton, as I mentioned, you've got a 5-year-old bro-man. You've got how old is the young lyricist right now? Yep, you've got JJ 11. Who's in high school, and Savannah, who's I think college right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, actually, Dave mentioned Jeff Chadwick. She goes to Grand Valley State, so that was a good call.
What's your great hope when you have kids of all those different ages? By the way, Grand Valley State, wasn't that David Kirkus too? What's your great hope to have these kids learn and live, hopefully in a different way going forward?
Well, it's twofold, really. I mean, honestly, I hope that they all understand, and like for all of us, this is part of our story, whether we like it or not. It's part of the journey for a lot of folks. And I think the biggest thing they can learn is that you can't get time back. So you have to enjoy it and appreciate what you have. And even going forward, if you could look back and learn something from this, whatever lesson it is, you can take that and make it impactful with your life down the road. That's huge.
Beautifully said
for you. So
beautifully said. All right, let's as we wrap things up here, we're going to do this every episode. Your fascinating random house item of the day. Why don't we do this? We'll start with the legendary Dave Rieger, who in his compound has found so many incredible things I can't even tell you. All right, Dave, what is your fascinating random house item of the day?
Well, I love the fact that Lawton, put on his Miami Dolphins hat earlier today and in the streamcast. So what I have is an original Denver Broncos foam Miles head, if you will, and they make these now a little bit different. This is one of the original ones from like the late 90s. So I'm going to put this on here for the rest of the broadcast here. That's my that's my weird screenshot. That Dan, that's my weird Miles foam head.
I love you, but you look like an absolute idiot. Lawton, what is your wacky, fascinating home item of the day?
So I have an item in front of me, which you will see momentarily. It gets the most conversation for any guests that come into my home. It stays up all year, even though I think it was originally meant to be a Christmas item. But we have our Michigan State Party Gnome that sits pridefully on our photo array, by our photos on our shelves. So I feel like this is appropriate for the odd
I love it.
We don't even usually move it. And I only moved it today because of
that is very kind now.
So
tell me the truth. I know we talked about this a little earlier. How confident were you in Michigan State's basketball team getting to the Final Four? Like, when you give it a 50-50 chance, 70-30, 20-80 the other way? Like, were you confident or completely scared?
It really depends on the time of the year, because I feel like Michigan State has very year over year. They have they play all the real tough teams at the beginning and they don't really have a good record. And then they start off really well and then there's always some sort of a funky period where they're never play very well. And then going into the tournament, if they're playing well, they usually do well in the Big Ten tournament. You kind of have a better idea. But I would say I wouldn't have been surprised with anything. I felt like I was hopeful Sweet 16. And I had been saying that all year long, that I didn't think we were any worse than that, but I hadn't seen anything that said we were better than that. And then last year, was kind of one of those years where, beating Goliath and then losing to Texas Tech was such a letdown, because you felt like you really beat the best team in Duke and had the best player. So it's a roller coaster with MSU every time. But I would still say, going to the Final Four, I would have said maybe 30% chance.
All right, let me give you my.
Dan, wrap it up real quick. Before you wrap it up, I have to ask every Michigan State basketball fan this. Do you feel that Coach Izzo needs one more national title to get put into the same category with the Krzyzewskis, the Roy Williams of the world? Or do you feel that he's done enough with his Final Four appearances? He's been inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. What's your feeling on that?
I know Tom feels that way. That's for sure. Tom feels that way. I think there's the running joke is we can get to the table, but we can't finish eating. There's so many Final Fours and not really we've been to 2 championships and we're 1-1. So I think 100%. I think that's the only thing Tom's still coaching for, to be honest with you, because if I'm starting out as a coach and you tell me I can have Tom's resume right now, I would take that in a heartbeat. I mean, the guy's got a ring. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's had a number of Final Four appearances with not always the best talent, but I do feel the only reason the guy's coaching is because he wants to get that one more ring. And then after that, I think he leaves it to, one of the assistants, Dane Fife, one of those guys. So yes, I truly believe I think
one more. I think that I totally agree. I've said this for a long.
All right.
Yeah, I've said this for a long time. I mean, he's definitely he's one of the best coaches ever.
I agree.
But to get no one will ever touch wood under Coach K. But you mentioned Roy Williams, Calhoun, I mean, to get to that second tier that really shows. I mean, it's not like he has to win one to cement his legacy. Like, he's still an amazing coach. But until he gets that second title, all those 8 Final Fours, all those failings in the Final Fours, he's not in that real special second tier. And that's something that I think that he definitely wants. Let me give you my item. I don't think you guys can see my camera right now, but Lon will appreciate this as I bring over the second time. I didn't believe that Lon was the reason that I won this the first time. The UFFL Fantasy Championship Trophy. Eye of the Jew, both 2011? 2011 and this season. Lawton, you were in this league forever. You took a pause. Let me just show this really quick to the camera. I know Dave really loves this. But it was an emotional fantasy year for me. But Lawton, you took a break. Can you break the news here on episode 3 of the Task Force that you are coming back to the UFFL greatest fantasy league in the world? And by the way, Ringer, I love you. You look like a total moron right now, but it's the greatest thing ever. I love that Broncos thing. What do you think, Lon? Are you coming back?
All right, so before I answer that question, I got to say that I was 2013 champion in that league, and anybody can get it one time and be lucky. I mean, that was the year I had Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning, who just dominated the whole year. So, but
yes, I heard it.
The greatest ever in the NFL. The NFL.
Yes. Stupid.
Okay. The second ring in the UFFL is most impactful because I believe, like Tom Izzo, that you have to have that second one to make sure you let people know the first one wasn't just a luck or an accident. So, but as far as coming back to the league, if there's a spot available, I'm back in. I did need a year off. And I think I'm fully ready now for this challenge coming up. If there's a spot, if there's not, I may just join another league just to get the practice. So when there's a spot that opens
basically what you're saying is I cemented my legacy. I cemented the legacy of Eye of the Jew being one of the great teams of all time.
Yeah, and if you win another one, now you're in Hall of Fame status in that league because there's only a couple teams that have done 3 or more, and I think that's a special category. And that's
people don't know. It's a very cutthroat league. It's been around since they were doing Rotinia, using newspapers for the box scores. All right, before we go, parting shots. Dave, what do you want to say to the world, the great fans of the Task Force as we get more and more fancy with our different technology here? What do you got, Bronco boy?
I just want to say, is this just the greatest foam head? Cheese heads. Come on. This is the greatest foam head ever.
Dumbest thing I've ever seen. But you're the best. Lawton, it was David, you're the best. I'm very lucky to have you in my life, as you know. Lawton, it's an honor to have you on the Task Force. I know your Twitter, by the way, is @LawtonLuntz. Any parting shots for the fine world before we get going?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure. And to be honest, I hope everyone takes this time off that they're at home and really kind of reevaluate some things and learns that from this crazy virus that's going around, they can all learn to love each other.
Beautifully said. And for me, as we said every time, go to cdc.gov, listen to your local health officials, listen to the local leaders. Our grandparents served in World War I and II. They were avoiding bullets. We just have to avoid going outside right now. It's going to hurt some. I'm hurting financially because of not working right now. It's hurting a lot of us. But it doesn't mean we can't hunker down, keep the older people and the underlying condition people and the people most at risk safe. I also want to say this. Go to my Twitter at DanLeach971. We're trying to get people to donate the N95 mask. Lon, I know you know this. Our good friend Doc Chris, who's in our fantasy league, is an ER doc at 3 local hospitals. The stuff he's been telling us has been heartbreaking. They need masks the best they can. Well, we got to help people get them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you know anybody that has them or you find them somewhere, pick them up, donate them. he's one of the guys that's really on the front lines for this virus, and he's been telling me the same thing as you. Telling me some really impactful things that I think this next week we're gonna really reality.
So please be there for each other. I love all three of you. I'm very lucky to have you in my life, and we'll keep doing the task force as much as we can. We'll involve you. We'll get your questions, your topic ideas. Maybe take that Broncos thing on Dave's hat and burn it. Take Lawton's Dolphins hat and hang it on a flagpole. But just to you three, or you two, us three together, I love you all very much. Until next time, this is Ben.